welcome to the Africana Research Center. The ARC was founded as part of the university's response to calls for a more diverse faculty and curriculum and research funding for faculty of color. The most recent of such calls had come in the form of organized protests in 2001, depicted in this collage by journalism student Robin Hecker. This year, we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the ARC's founding by considering its effect on the larger campus community.
The Africana Research Center was not something that was original when it was conceived in 2000-2001. And there had been some discussion amongst an older generation of faculty about creating a center. When I came here in 1996, some of those discussions were taking place on a sporadic basis. But in 2000, there was a decision taken within the College of Liberal Arts to support the development of a proposal, and it was given to the Department of African and African American Studies to develop the project. After some initial drafts, it became clear that what was in fact happening is that the department was looking to enhance its standing within the college and the university by developing a center, but that interest was not necessarily reciprocated. And I think a critical part of it was because the department had not established an intellectual presence on the campus. So we'd been caught in a chicken and egg situation, where because the department because there was not a strong research focus within the university on African American issues, it was difficult to make the case for a center, and if the center were not developed, it would be difficult to establish a research focus. The discussions amongst the faculty in the department were taking place in a context in which, in 2000, correspondence was sent to several leading black students, which constituted hate mail and would later evolve into actual death threats. And it's in that context that the urgency of the Africana Research Center became re-evaluated. So in that kind of context, what in fact happened is that student protests, particularly starting in January 2001, began to force the university to address the issue of the climate for students and faculty within the campus. And I think it gained a certain urgency when many of the alumni or the alumni association began to throw their weight behind the issue. So I think it was a situation where without the support of the students and the alumni, it is quite possible the center would never have been established. So we owe a lot to both the students and the alumni for that happening.
Hello, my name is Beverly Vandiver, and I am the former director of the Africana Research Center. I was the third director. The first director was Roy Austin when the center started in October 2001. And then he left when he became the ambassador for Trinidad and Tobago. When I came in, my plan was threefold. One was how to stabilize and make the center sustainable. And two was how to give it public attention so that people knew where it was. And related to the second goal was three, how to expand programming that reflected the initial mission of the ARC, and that was to provide or be a support or an outlet for research and scholarship regarding Africana issues, and that included the entire diaspora, Africa, as well as any related countries or places where people of African descent resided. For decades, faculty had been trying to push that agenda, and had submitted proposal after some proposals, and for those to be sort of dismissed. And it took a handful of students with the tremendous support of other students to protest in the spring of 2001 about other things, the climate here at Penn State. But one of the ways that they wanted to change that climate was through scholarship and by making some demands to have a research center that focused on the African issues. And I want to thank them for their courage. Sometimes it's an afterthought. You don't realize what students have done that faculty are unable to do until after it's done. And so I want to acknowledge them. And I'm glad that the ARC is still here, and want to congratulate the current director for its continuing its 10th year.
My name is Keith Wilson. I'm the 4th director of the ARC, the Africana Research Center. I spent 2 years as the director, and there are some things that we were able to accomplish that I want to briefly highlight. First, I want to start off by saying that I had a really wonderful experience over here at the ARC. Many times as a faculty member, you're in your little isolated place, and you rarely have the opportunity to be able to see what the entire university may be doing. And so for me, it was a really great experience to sit at one of the research centers here at the university and to be able to see what many of the units were doing here at Penn State. So I had a wonderful time. As I was looking at the website, I'm looking at some of the initiatives that were here when I was the director, and in fact, many of those same initiatives are here today. The major signature programs, the Undergraduate Research Symposium, the Emerging Scholars Speakers Series, and those major signature programs are still here within the center. And I think that those signature programs are the bedrock of the center.
This year's Undergraduate Research Symposium featured 9 speakers on September 17, 2011 at the Nittany Lion Inn. Proud parents were treated to lunch as they watched their sons and daughters present on a wide range of topics, followed by a question and answer session where audience members participated in further discussion with presenters.
Including the Tuskegee syphilis study, Nuremberg trials after World War II, which you bring the media, right? You bring the local media to see how the media has the effect. Are they only showing lighter skinned women?
This year's winner was Alicia De Cuolo, whose research topic was Ideology, Race, and Education, a study of the impact of apartheid on the education of Black South Africans from 1948 through 1994.
Good evening. Welcome to the annual Barbara Jordan Lecture, sponsored by the Africana Research Center. I'm LaValerie King, Director of the Africana Research Center. This year's lecture is being presented by Victor C. Romero, who is Maureen B. Kavanaugh Distinguished Professor of Law at the Dickinson School of Law here at Penn State.
The Barbara Jordan Lecture Series features an American scholar or activist whose work focuses on human rights. The Nelson Mandela Lecture Series features an African scholar or activist whose work also focuses on human rights. Past speakers include Victor C. Romero, Maureen B. Kavanaugh Distinguished Faculty Scholar and Professor of Law at the Penn State University Dickinson School of Law, and Mahmoud Mamdani, Director of Columbia's Institute of African Studies. The Barbara Jordan Spring 2012 lecture will be given by Mary Frances Berry, former head of the Civil Rights Commission under President Clinton. Generous co-sponsors of Berry's visit include the Department of Political Science and the Dickinson School of Law. This year's Nelson Mandela Lecture features Ugandan lawyer and human rights activist Sylvia Tamale in November of 2011.
My name is Ariane Cruz, and last year I was a Africana Research Center postdoctoral fellow in the Department of Women's Studies here at Penn State. And the fellowship year was just really incredible year, a really wonderful time for professional academic growth that I think I would have never had the opportunity to receive anywhere else. In particular, we had a number of professional development sessions, so things like negotiating a job contract, publishing, promotion and tenure, pedagogy, teaching, publishing, all these really great workshops led by top-notch scholars here at Penn State. Another amazing thing that the ARC did was allow us to bring in a mentor from anywhere, in to kind of meet with the fellows individually and share their research and give feedback on some of our work, as well as just kind of more general advice about academia and, again, navigating and job stuff. So overall, I think it was really amazing to get this type of experience. For me, especially as a junior scholar, that, as I said, I would have never gotten anywhere else.
My name is Habiba Badrun, and I had the great honor of being an Africana Research Center postdoctoral fellow from 2007 to 2008. And that was also more or less the start of my relationship with Penn State as a university as well, because I then went on to become a faculty member here in Women's Studies and African Studies. And that's where I remain at the moment in my third year. So the ARC has been really quite fundamental to my academic career here, and I'm very deeply grateful for introducing me to the US-based intellectual community and to such a hospitable intellectual community here in the ARC and at the university. I also currently am a member of the advisory board of the center, and I think for me that's an indication of how important the work of the ARC is and how inclusive it is in the way that it operates. And I have always found the ARC to be incredibly welcoming of intellectual work from the continent itself, from Africa, and from the diaspora, and the very important links between the two. And so I'm very proud that this has been my intellectual home, and that I continue to be part of the ARC in these various capacities. One of the proudest points of connection for me at the ARC is the Nelson Mandela Lecture, which is, of course, one of the annual lectures that the Africana Research Center hosts every year in the fall. And it's been my great privilege to be involved in a number of the Mandela Lecture events, including the one given by Professor Mahmoud Mamdani from Columbia University in 2010, as well as the forthcoming lecture by Professor Sylvia Tamale from Makerere University in Uganda, who is the 2011 presenter of the Nelson Mandela Lecture. And I think this kind of sustained connection between intellectual communities here in the US and communities in Africa is one of the great contributions that the Africana Research Center makes. And for me, as an Africanist based in a US university, that kind of connection is a truly important one to build. And I'm very proud that the ARC is playing such an important role in doing precisely that.
My name is Shirley Moody Turner. I came in as a postdoctoral fellow into the Africana Research Center in 2006. I finished a PhD at the University of Maryland in English literature, specializing in African American literature. I am now an assistant professor in the Department of English. And I guess I'll tell you a little bit about my experience with the Africana Research Center. So I came in with the hopes of completing a project that I was working on, an essay on Anna Julia Cooper, Charles Chesnutt, and the Hampton Folklore Society. And when I came into the ARC, it gave me the opportunity to complete that project and also to use that project as a kind of foundation for thinking about my larger book project. So I was lucky in the sense that it allowed me to finish that and actually get that published, but then also to give me an opportunity to think about the larger book project that I would then go on to work with throughout my first years as an assistant professor in the English department. The thing I really gained from it was the opportunity to work with a cohort of people who were looking at issues of racial and national identity formations, but from different disciplines and different perspectives. So my cohort included a woman from the history department and another woman from African and African American Studies department. And so we were all kind of working on some of the same theoretical issues and some of the same kinds of critical questions, but from very different perspectives or looking at very different regions of the diaspora. I think that what I really gained from my time with the Africana Research Center was to become acquainted with a cohort of junior faculty, people of color, who were new to Penn State, new assistant professors, other postdocs, and to create a network, a social network, a cultural network, an intellectual network in which we could have each other to support each other. And so I definitely think of the Africana Research Center as one of my homes here at Penn State and one of those places that I'll always kind of go back to for the intellectual and cultural community.
I'm Michelle Decker. I am a dissertation fellow, writing my dissertation right now. I'm in the Department of Comparative Literature here at Penn State, and I'm studying the literature and culture of the Indian Ocean region. And right now I'm writing my chapter on Zanzibar, so my goals this year are to finish that chapter and hopefully convert parts of it into an article and publish it.
Hello, my name is Eugene Walton. I recently completed a dissertation at Duke University in International Relations. My dissertation focused on non-state actors in international crises, in which I collected my own data set and analyzed the influence of ethnicity and ethnic character on international conflict. Currently I'm here on somewhat of a joint appointment with political science and ARC, and here I'll be trying to get some publications out.
Hi, my name is Michael Kennedy. I am Nigerian, and my thesis done at Durham University in the UK actually studied colonial boundaries and the impact on ethnicity and interstate relations in West Africa. And what I'm going to be doing right now is to actually taking that beyond, taking my research beyond the thesis level, trying to test the findings across borders. What I did earlier was to look at 2 boundaries. Now I want to look at 3 or 4 boundaries in West Africa and to look at the impact of those divisions, those colonial divisions on interstate relations and regional integration in West Africa. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Crystal Sanders. I recently completed my dissertation at Northwestern University. I look at how civil rights activists in Mississippi used war and poverty programs to continue their earlier organizing activities. As an Africana Research Center postdoctoral fellow, I hope to revise the dissertation for publication and also work on an article on the role that upper-class Black women played in movement activities in Jackson.
Hello, my name is Charlene Chester. I'm a doctoral candidate in the developmental psychology area here at Penn State. My research focuses on family processes within the context of adoption. So more specifically, I look at transracial adoption and the impact of that upon the development of family processes and how it also impacts child development. And my goals this year are to finish collecting my data on cultural engagement in families who have adopted transracially to understand how that impacts child development.
And again, this is just a quick overview of, and we should have this on the calendar too, right? Our Yahoo calendar, so sort of reminders for Val, Dawn, and myself about we need to get in touch with you to find it.
We have the potluck, so please just let Dawn know whether you'll be attending. We'd love for you and your families to attend. And we've also invited the previous, so our past postdocs, so it'll be a nice time for you to meet with some of them.
Yeah, and for them to get to know you as well as an ARC fellow.
The Africana Research Center's current director is Dr. LaValerie King. Tracy Beckett is Managing Director and Coordinator of Fellows. Dawn Noren is the ARC's Committed Director's Assistant.